Helicopter fans, welcome back to Motion RC. I'm James, and today we're talking about the brand new UH-60 Black Hawk from RotorScale. This is a beautiful 220 size GPS stabilized, ready to fly helicopter. We have a few GPS stabilized helicopters on our website now, so anybody familiar with those, the beauty of the GPS helicopters, especially in the scale format, is they're easier to fly. If you ever think of like DJI, if you've ever flown Phantom and Inspire, one of those quadcopters that are GPS stabilized, they're pretty easy to maneuver. A beginner can do it, but this also has the capability to do manual mode for a lot of scale heli pilots who want something small that they could take with them. You could still fly it in manual, but for guys who are interested in getting into helicopters, something this small, this scale is a really nice package that comes complete with everything you see here out of this box, but also this case, as you're going to see when we take you back to the unboxing, you know, everything fits in here beautifully. Perfect travel case, and to keep everything protected, a really nice overall package. Now, some of you might be familiar. The first option this line was the UH-60, the Coast Guard version. Wesley did a video on that, so a lot of the same, all the same features are going to be on this heli. It's just basically a different body. So if you're already familiar with that and you wanted, you know, a more scale military style heli, then here you go. It's a gorgeous looker. You obviously get the transmitter, you get the helicopter, you get a spare set of main blades, you get a spare tail blade, you do get a little light that attaches to your battery. You get a battery here that it becomes part of the fuselage when it plugs in, so you know it's one of those type of batteries, but it does have a little indicator on it, which is going to light up and let you know with 4 bars how much battery life you're going to get. But for this heli, on this pack that comes with it, you do get about 7 to 9 minutes of flight time, depending on how hard you go. And then you get the whole charger complex that comes here. So this plugs into this charger, which plugs into the wall, and you will get a readout from 0 to 100, depending on, you know, how charged your battery are. Obviously 100 on here is going to mean a fully charged LiPo. And then you can use this charger, I like this too, you can use it for any other 3S or 4S batteries. It actually is a pretty solid charger if you need an extra one. So that'll go a long way to helping you in other formats. Now, as far as the functionality of this heli, guys, we had it outside. I only ever flew it in GPS mode. I'm not a manual heli flyer. I didn't want to risk it, obviously, getting a new product. It's the only one I got. I didn't want to risk crashing it. So I only really flew it around in the GPS mode, but super stable, super awesome. You know, the best thing about the GPS mode is that it's only going to fly scale for the most part, which is why it works so well in the scale, you know, body. Most guys doing this aren't looking to do 3D or aerobatics. You just want to fly a beautiful looking helicopter, maybe around your backyard, your front yard, a local park. And this is a great one to do it because it's a lot beefier than some of the 100, 120 size helis, you know, those smaller ready to runs. It is a nice size to it. And it does have some nice scale detail. You do have some lights. There's 4 lights on top. This is your main light, your indicator light, so that'll let you know what mode you're in, things like that, and also for setting certain things up, which we'll talk about. That's where you're going to look at this one. But then you do have a green light on the right and a red light on the left. You got a tail light up here, and then, as I said, you get this light, which you know, we took out in flight. I hadn't even opened the rest of the pack, but this will just press into here, and then you plug this in, and when we plug in the heli, it's gonna light up. So you got a little bit of a landing light here. Oh, let me plug it in. There it is. So that light will light up. So you got another light. If you want to fly at night, that one's pretty bright. You'll be able to get away with it. It'll look really cool taking it outside and flying around. And then when you push in the battery, you could turn off the battery, and you could leave the light plugged in there. Won't hurt anything because you could put it away. So now let me move everything out of the way real quick, and then we'll talk a little more about what you got to do when you set up this heli. All right, guys, before you do fly the Black Hawk, there are 2 things that you do want to do, 2 calibrations you're going to have to do. So we'll show you how to do that here in a second. Obviously, you're going to need 4 AA batteries. That's the only thing you're going to have to supply for your transmitter. But once you have those in there, press and hold the top button. That'll come on. And then we're going to install our battery in our heli. So that's like so. Just press in. And then there are 2 little clips that'll lock it in. And you could hear it snap when you push it in there. And now we're turned on. I'm going to push this button and hold. There we go. And now you want to set it down to the point where, nice flat level surface. All right, along the top of the transmitter, we have 4 switches. That's where a lot of your functionality is going to come in. The switch on the left is a simple press switch up and down. That's only going to be when you're in the sky. It'll do 2 movements. It can do circle patterns by itself based on some coordinates that you could sort of set by clicking this button. And then it'll actually make a heart pattern 3-dimensional. It'll just fly itself if you do that. So the left one really you can put to the side. The second to the left, B, switch B, is either auto or manual. So you want to leave it in auto if you're going to be flying GPS, but if you want full manual control, that's where you're going to go. Switch that down manual and it'll cancel everything else out and you've got full command of the heli. So again, up to you. Then you have a basically a throttle hold. So if you get in a sticky situation, you think you might be flying near people or something else, you can shut the power off on the copter immediately by just locking it and it's going to fall out of the sky. So be careful with this switch. You don't want to accidentally hit it when you are flying, especially at altitude. Not going to be a good day for your heli. And then the far right one has 3 modes. The middle button is your GPS. And when you're in GPS mode, this light right now is flashing green. When I get full satellite, you want to wait 1 or 2 minutes when you first plug this in. When you're outside at the field, this light is going to go solid when it's connected to all the satellites, and then you're ready to roll. Like right now, it's just flashing. Again, I don't know if it's going to do it in here. But then if you wanted to go into like a low vis mode, you see the light turns red. So they call it low visual mode, but basically what that is, if you aren't getting a lot of satellites, you still want to fly. You want to have, some stabilization. You can fly it, but it'll only go up to about 6 meters or about 20 feet. You'll never be able to ascend any higher. So it's nice for flying around your yard. You can, hang around if you didn't get satellites, but obviously if you got satellites, you're fine. And then if you go all the way down, this heli will automatically return to home. So wherever you plugged it in when it acquires satellites, that's the home point. You can't change that unless you turn it off, turn it on again somewhere else. So just remember, if you plug it in and you're under something, like a canopy of some sort, and then you walk it out to your flying field, to your flying side, if you hit auto home, it's going back to where you plugged it in. So just be careful with that. But you could always cancel that out too in the air. And then down on the bottom, you do have a couple other buttons. You do have another return to home button down here on the bottom right. You have a high-low button. So you see it on the screen. Low rates is going to give you very soft movements, and high is going to give you, even in GPS mode, going to give you a little more authority. You can move around faster. And then your mode button up here, you could actually change this transmitter from mode 1 to mode 2, or when you're in the sky and you're above 10 meters, if you push that mode button, this helicopter is going to flip inverted, and as long as you're in GPS mode, the controls are going to stay the same. So when you throttle up, it'll go up even though it's inverted. So it won't do it, it's not a good way to practice inverted flight, but it looks cool. But again, you're not really flying this heli. It's a Black Hawk. You're not going to fly it upside down, not a 3D heli. But the option is there if you wanted to. I just never did it when we were outside. I didn't think I needed it. Okay, so now all that said, there are 2 calibrations you want to do before you ever fly this heli. And I would do them both depending on if you move to different locations. If you know you're always going to fly this heli at your flying field or your local park, you should only really have to do it once. You never have to do it again. But it's always a good thing to do if you do move around. One is the gyroscope calibration. Now, aside from GPS stability, there is a gyro inside too, so you want to make sure you calibrate that. So that means having the heli on a nice flat surface, and it shows in the book if you're flying mode 2, which if you're receiving this in America, it'll automatically come out as mode 2. But in other countries, it'll be mode 1 and it'll be reversed. So just look at it in the manual when you're there. But basically, what they tell you to do is your left stick, your throttle is going to go up to the left, and your right stick is going to go down to the right. And when I do that, you see the heli make some movements. You see the flashing lights. And now when it stops flashing, now again, the light will be solid if I was outdoors and I had full satellites. Right now it's still looking for satellites because I'm indoors, but basically you saw it flash yellow really fast and then it went back to that flashing light. That's what you want. So that means right now the gyroscope is calibrated. It thinks that's level. And then the other calibration is going to be for your compass calibration. That's where you'll have to do 2 of those movements. Anyone who ever had a GPS heli in the past, you sort of have to spin it around a little bit to get the compass calibrated for the GPS. So the way you do that is the exact opposite. So if the gyroscope is up, left, down, right, this one's going to be reverse. Up, right, down, left. You're going to see flash it. Once you start getting a flashing yellow light, you're going to pick it up. You're going to spin it in this direction horizontally. And when it's ready to go, and when it knows, now I might not be able to do this in here, but that light will go back to, say, solid green where it was, and then it'll flash again, and then you tilt it up this way, and you got to spin it. And when everything would be done, that light would go back to solid. Now, I don't think it's going to happen indoors again because I'm not outside. I did it outside, as you'll see here on the B-roll, and it worked just fine. So just keep that in mind. The manual explains it. Those are the two important calibrations before you take your first flight. All right, so now you have the gyroscope calibrated, you have your compass calibrated, it's time to fly. So what do you want to do? You want to go out with both sticks, down and out. That'll get it going. Now you have a couple seconds to raise the throttle. If I were to raise it, it'll pop up off the ground and you're ready to fly. If I do nothing, it'll shut off, which is important. It's a nice feature to have. Or, let me start it up again. The other thing you can do is push both sticks down and in. If you push both sticks down and in, then you'll also stop the motor. And then the other thing you could do, so it was going, is push that switch up here, which is your throttle hold. So you have a few ways out if you were to get in a sticky situation where you want to make sure, your throttle is off and the blades aren't, ready to hurt somebody or something. So that's a great feature there. But now as far as flying this baby around, she's absolutely gorgeous. Like I said, I've flown a few of the Flywing GPS helis. Wes had a lot of fun with the Coast Guard GPS heli from RotorScale, and now this RotorScale one here in the Black Hawk. It just looks awesome and really well-rounded package. For anybody who likes to fly, who wants to fly a scale heli but not have the hassle, flying a regular heli is not easy to learn. But this one you'll be able to do it because, again, you could go into manual mode and, teach yourself, if you will, how to fly a real heli. But yeah, it's nice to have the, the gyroscope and the GPS in there to give it some really nice stability. And I was whipping this thing all around the football field when we were out there. I was up for around 6 or 7 minutes. And when I came down, I had about 15% left in the tank, so I still had some more time to go around, which was nice. But overall, it's just a really beautiful package coming out of the box in the, in the green here. Just an absolutely beautiful heli. And also, one of the nice scale details are these doors on the side of the heli. They do open, so they can slide a little bit to the right, and to, both sides can open just about halfway. But you might be able to get a little figure in there if you wanted to, for any of you scale guys. But having all the lights, having the gyroscope, having the the stability and the peace of mind there. And also, I do like the carrying case too. You can't beat having a nice hardy case. Good way to put everything back, good way to transport it. Everything fits in there beautifully, keeps the copter nice and protected. So you should have many beautiful, successful flights with this RotorScale heli. So guys, that's gonna do it for our video here. We had a lot of fun with this thing. We'll definitely take it out again, and maybe I'll talk during the flight. But I just wanted to get out there and just whip it around and have some fun. But guys, these are available right now. You want to check the link in the description. I'll have a link to the Black Hawk. I'll also put a link in there to the Coast Guard version, which is also another beautiful heli as well. And as always, guys, if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, leave them down below. Hit the like button on your way out the door if you can. And as always, we'll see you next time at Motion RC. Bye, guys.